Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, finally back. Finally back with none other than the man, the myth, the e-foiling legend, Captain King Karl. How are you, sir?
Road Dog, my man, I've missed you. Actually, you know what? The audience, our listeners, have missed you, as you know. But I got to tell you, here and now, you are a popular guy, man. They want Road Dog, man. They started the chant. Here we are.
So, well, I see you sent me that video, which, by the way, from your big event that you do every single year. So my question was, how much did you have to pay them, or how drunk were they to actually pull that off? That is the question.
They were chanting Road Dog for everybody listening. They're Road Dog, Road Dog. It was pretty fun.
They all seemed in fine form. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, shoots. It's been a while. It has been a while, and so you've been doing a pile of interviews, and I'm just curious, like, what have you learned from interviewing your clients the last? Geez, I don't even know how much. Like, probably the last couple of months.
Yeah, shoots. We're getting straight into the questions. Well done, man.
So this is it, buddy. This is the new and improved, straight to the point, efficient. Right?
Or the opposite. You're trying to like find a way so that next week I got something else going on. I don't even know what I'm saying here, Shoots. I don't even know. We're all very happy to have you back. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Sorry. What was the question?
Oh my God. So, folks, we you know what? We're back, and just so everyone knows, we have already had microphone issues. So, like, as much as things change and technology is taking over the world, it's definitely not happening at Karl's house. But anyways, on that note, you've been interviewing clients the last few weeks, and I'm just curious, right? Like, did you learn anything from that, or sort of what insights can you share with us from just kind of pivoting and doing that for a little while? What did you glean from that?
Great. Learned a lot for sure. I mean, obviously, just listen to the interviews, or coaches are, doing some very cool stuff and providing an incredible amount of value. I'll tell you one thing. What I heard from those listening, just like the social proof component of it is worth its weight in gold, right? And that, you've got clients and, you listen, but a lot of them, been here 10 years and longer, some not so long, and then some, literally over 10 years. So the social proof aspect of that, like, oh, wow, like this actually works. Like if I keep going, these will be the results, and the snowball will eventually grow, or at some stage I will get to the top of that damn hill and be able to start rolling down instead of having to feel like I'm climbing. Or, that when you're coaching, I know it can feel like a bit of a roller coaster where you got clients, you got leads, you're busy, and then you got clients. And then what happens? You take your foot off the gas and you stop generating leads and you stop making the introductions. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. You stop shaking those hands. And then what happens? You end up, the roller coaster starts going down, and then you got to go back up. And of course, that's a little bit frustrating. Anyway, so, you know what I mean? Just people feeling comfortable that, if I just stick with this thing and I just follow the roadmap, it's going to be all good. I'll tell you this, like, think of this as like let's call this a formula that you should follow with your coaching. Think Facebook, think Instagram, think YouTube, think even when you're talking to clients. But like, number one, focus on your client. No surprise. Number two, get them results, not your results, but their results, your client, the person paying you. Number 3, the kicker, the big one, advertise it. This is something, frankly, that I have not done a good job of over the last 17, 18 years that I've been doing this. And, the last, whatever, you know what I mean? Like the last, like we have so many people that are like killing it and doing, like when I tell people that we get a client, client's been a client for a long time, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, could be, it could be a decade, but he does $30 million a year, right? Been a client for, let's just say over 7 to 8 years, so that I'm not exaggerating, easily get the number, but I'm not talking about it enough. You know what I mean? We're not advertising it. We're not putting it on our Facebook group. And anyways, number 3 is advertise it. You should be doing that. Number 4, go find another 5, another 25 clients just like that individual that got the results. And then where am I at? Step number 5, I think, rinse and repeat. Like, focus on a client, get them results, advertise it, go find 5 to 25 more, rinse and repeat, as in focus on the 25, make sure they get results, tell everybody you can in interesting ways. You could just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that lame, you know what I mean? Like, you can advertise it, but you can tell it in a story, an interesting way. Like me advertising clients that are, coaches that have been with us for almost, in some cases a decade, and making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, net, loving life, enjoying their lifestyle, have a rinse and repeat kind of, formula for getting clients, keeping clients, etc. Like, it's there. You know what I mean, Road Dog? Like, it's when Bannister beat the 4-minute mile, what happened over the next 12 months? And the answer is that an unbelievable amount of people did the 4-minute mile, right? So when our clients, when we have a new program, Local Legends, one of our guys started less than 3 months ago. I think it's 10 weeks from when we did the stats. He went from zero, legit zero, his airplane on the tarmac, to 9,500 recurring. Remember, $8,333 a month is 100 grand a year, right? So we wanted to make sure that that's the frame. Like, we got to get these. Don't deviate, don't adjust, don't come to me with new ideas and go into multiple streams of income, blah, 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 until you get to $8,333 a month. One of the guys, again, scooted, straight past that 9,500. But again, he started at zero, right? Like zip, zilch, nada. So that's just the kind of thing that I think you should be doing. Again, if you want to promote one-to-one coaching, talk about you. If you want to sell group coaching, talk about your members in the group. Hugely. Anyway, so that's the big one there. Number 3, advertise it. Don't know that anything else is world conquering, but I think knowing that you got to follow a bit of a formula might be good. So when I go to you, and by the way, if you want the acid test, so let me just look at your assets. Let me look at your emails. Let me look at your podcast. Let me look at your Instagram. Let me look at your Facebook profile. Let me look at your LinkedIn, and show me where you're talking about results of your clients. If you don't see that, I want you to step up your game and start doing that. But do it in a clever, creative way by like storytelling, as opposed to just kind of giving facts, figures, etc. Road Dog, last thing I would say, look, when I opened up in Cancun at Business Coaching Mastery, at a record turnout. It was like really just unbelievable. Anyways, one of the things that I said in the opening, shout out to Todd Saylor, by the way, who's again one of our clients, very super duper high end guy. Anyway, so he aggregation of marginal gains is something that he's a huge fan of, and him and I have gone back and forth, and we're talking about it. This is the entire the profit acceleration software was built. The foundation of it is aggregation of marginal gains. If you've never heard that, some of you have, and some of you haven't. It's made famous by a guy, Dave Brailsford, English guy. He's now knighted, so he's Sir Dave Brailsford, by the way. But basically, he took on. Okay, so here's the story. Really long story, very short. He took on the British cycling team. They said, "Look, we suck. We don't want to suck anymore. Will you take it on?" He said, "I don't know." They convinced him. He said yes. First thing he did is he tried to go out and get a sponsor, right? Not only did the sponsor say no, it was a bike sponsor, they refused to sell him bikes because the British team was so bad that they didn't want the British team to be riding their bikes because they thought it would make them look bad, right? So like that will give you the level of where he started. He put together a 10-year plan, basically the aggregation of marginal gains. What that means is he took cycling and he broke it down into like 100 different units. Like think the way that they wash their hands, how would that help? That would stop them from getting a cold. You stop one of the members from getting a cold once a year and pass it on to another guy, that will make a difference over 12 months. The way that they washed the bike, the way that they stored the bike, the way that they stored the chain. What happens with a chain left in the open? Dust particles fall. Where do they fall? Into the chain. What's that going to do? Affect performance. A lot? No. Ever so slightly? Yes. When you take it and you add it to other, do you know what I mean? Like these other 99 variables, you start to really get somewhere. The way that they were sleeping, their sleeping routine, the hotels that they stayed in, the pillows that you used, the shoes that they used, everything, the style. I believe the helmets, you know how those really weird, funky helmets, I believe that he made those form in cycling. So again, is a helmet going to make a huge difference? No, but it's just ever so slight. And when you bulk it in with like 99 other things, it makes a huge difference. Nuts and bolts. He put together a 10-year plan to help them, become a force in cycling. He didn't think that he would. I don't think that he really thought they would dominate, but that's where they got to. And I believe it in the Olympic Games while he was in charge. 5 years later, they won 70% of the gold medals available. So they went from being brutal and embarrassing to 70% of the gold medals available. Won the Tour de France, I believe, 4 of 5 years. And basically created what I believe to be the most dominant period ever in cycling. And he took them from like nothing to that, and it's the aggregation of marginal gains. Why do I say that? When you use our software, the first thing you have is the Jumpstart 12. One of the reasons why it's so powerful, what we call profit acceleration, is you take a small incremental change in all 12 areas. Instead of doing a big one, digital marketing and really hitting a home run in one, what you do is a small incremental change in all of them, and you get this compounding effect. You get this profit acceleration effect where all of a sudden their numbers swell up. And quite frankly, the only thing is, convincing the business owner that it's not pie in the sky, that it actually will work if they just adjust this, and this. Things will go in the right direction. So anyways, that aggregation of marginal gains, it's a huge one. Literally part of my opening in business coaching mastery in Cancun. And I think for the average coach that gets intimidated, am I going to be able to help X, Y, Z? Knowing that, understanding that, how frankly easy it can be, because making a 5% adjustment in any one of 12 areas is so easy because their digital marketing sucks. Their cost cutting is something they've never even thought about, let alone done. Raising their prices is something they haven't done in 3 years. Bundling is something they're not even doing at all. So we do a really bad, horrible job, and we just do a small little pathetic bundle. You know what I mean? The change they can make, upsell, do you want me to supersize that? Cross-selling, do you want fries with that? Doing all those types of things, the adjustment, you get a lawyer, do you want a will with that? You start making those slight improvements and then slight improvements in implementation. You get this awesome compounding effect, and it's very, very powerful. So shoots, that's my answer. What do you think?
Yeah, it's super fascinating, right? How the small things incrementally have such a huge impact. Like that's the part that's always super interesting. On that vein though, Karl, let me ask you, because you mentioned in an earlier point there, advertise it, right? So when you say advertise it, would you traditionally say have one method or do like 5 different things but have your primary focus on, like how do you do that?
Yep. So I would send out an email telling, like I would tell a story about, we were working with a client, they started here are the changes we made, this is where they ended up, right? Like example, what I just said. So sat down with a chiropractor. They were doing $550,000 when I sat down with them, 20% margins, blah, 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 blah. They're making $100,000 a year. I basically used my software, 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences. We went to 12 different areas, made no more than a 5% adjustment and improvement in any one area. The results look like this. And within X amount of time, I was able to find them $159,000, not revenue, but profit, and basically did it really, really easily, right? So telling a story by way of they started here, here's what we did, the Jumpstart 12 and a Deep Dive 40, this is where we ended up, this was the result, and here's what he said about the experience. And then I would send it out in an email, and then I would adjust it and put it on Facebook, and then I would adjust it and put it on Instagram, and then I would adjust it and maybe put it on YouTube, depending upon what they're doing. I would adjust it and mention it in my podcast as a throwaway in the middle. You know what I mean? Like that's what LinkedIn, I would post it there in LinkedIn. Like that's how I do it.
Omnipresence, I believe, is what Frank Kern calls that, right? Where it appears as if you are literally everywhere. And I think that's a super, super powerful technique. So,
yeah.
Hey, obviously some sad sort of news in the business world recently. One of your heroes, Charlie Munger, passed away. It's amazing how many people he impacted, and he was not even the main guy. Like that's the craziest part of it all, right?
Yeah.
But I know that he was definitely one of your heroes, somebody that you looked up to, and you've taken a lot of advice from some of the stuff that he's put out there. I'm just wondering if you can maybe give us a few, like 2-3 sort of things of just lessons that you've learned from the late great Charlie Munger.
May he rest in peace. And you are correct, by the way. And I'm, and you again, I know that Charlie Munger, you've loved him. We've talked about him lots, right? He's like the OG of mental models. If you want to understand mental models at a higher level, Charlie Munger's your guy. And by the way, if that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, mental models, and you might be new to that, please just delve into it because it's what's life changing for me, and I think it could be for you. And others have said same, including I believe Charlie Munger has said as much for himself. His partnership with Warren Buffett. To those that don't know, he's partnered, Berkshire Hathaway, like it's him and Warren Buffett, right? Just, everything is just time and patience. Like, what does he say? The big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting. And of course, take that. I don't know if you take it with a grain of salt, but do understand that you had to buy well in order for that waiting to pay off and buy correctly, and that, you're buying the jockey, not the horse. But patience. He lived to be 99. What a bummer, eh? Could have got to 100. That would have been kind of cool. But made it to 99. A good innings for sure. But just patience. And again, but it's easy to be patient when you live to be 99. Keep in mind. So take all of Warren Buffett's the same. I don't know what age he is, but he's in his 90s well and truly. And do understand that time, if either of them died in their 60s, we're not talking about them, right? So that time matters. I don't know if this was worth. So I would put at the top, I want to find something for a penny, sell it for $1, and it's habit forming, right? Find something for a penny, sell it for $1, and have it habit forming. Chewing gum, chewing tobacco, cigarettes would fall into that. And that's, not the best examples, but think YouTube, think Facebook, a little bit addictive. By the way, they did not invest in Facebook or YouTube, but no doubt they would agree that, I don't know, look at the numbers and you tell me if it's a sound investment. I think Amazon might even fall into that, where I know my wife could fall into the guilty category of being a little bit trigger happy on the old Amazon. But anyway, so I think that is just really, really good advice. And buy it for a penny, sell for $1. Translation, unbelievable margins. Something we've talked about to death on the podcast. You want good margins. Most people aren't thinking like that. They're thinking, top end and gross, and you should be thinking, bottom line and profit. Another thing he says, every time you hear EBITDA, just substitute it with bullshit. Ooh, I don't think we're supposed to swear on this, but anyway, so it's just funny that he says that. Just a real stoic and somebody who's, just a stud, just a stoic on steroids. One of the things he says, again, I'll make a meal of this, but if you want to find a great spouse, the single best way is deserve a great spouse, right? Like, so intelligent, simple, fundamental, but is that what are most people working on themselves, or are they spending time on, Tinder and Lava Life or whatever? I don't even, is Lava Life still a thing, by the way? But you know what I mean, whatever, Tinder, let's say, right? And the swipe left, swipe right, whatever that is. I've been married a long time. Anyways, and then I would so people calculate too much and think too little. That would fall back to being the OG of mental models. So he was just a big, big fan of thinking, right? So are you still, Shoots, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Keep it going.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Okay, so my little thingy popped up. Anyway, so he's just a big, big fan of thinking at a high level. So, anyways, I don't know. Actually, no. Oh, no. The number one is the world is driven by greed, not envy. And again, his quote's going to be a little bit different than that. But at the end of the day, the world is driven by greed, not envy. It falls back into, make people jealous of who you are and what you are, not what you have. Right. And that, again, the influencers with the Lamborghini and the doors up and all that stuff, which we've railed against for years. That's where they're missing the boat. You know what I mean? Make people jealous of who you are and what you are, not what you have. I think the power of that is insane. So Shoots, that's may he rest in peace, and what an absolute stud, and what a great innings, man. He's a life well lived, man. A life well lived.
Well, there you go. And speaking of, so obviously, if you're listening to this, you're realizing that if I'm saying that's recent, it is towards the end of the year. I cannot believe that. That's kind of mind bending to me that another year is sort of almost come and gone. But with that said, Karl, obviously, everyone's starting to do their plans for 2024 and reflecting on 2023. So I'm going to do the same old crap like everybody else. As you look back, right? Perfect setup, right? Perfect setup. Where this is not the original show, hey. When you look back at your 2023, what would you say is the biggest lesson you have learned this year?
Yeah. Shoots. This is one I should have expected. So this might, not that this is going to throw you, but you know me, but still, like, not business. I have been doing a lot of meditation. The person who struggles to meditate the most is the person that will get the most out of meditation, right? The same way that the person who has struggles the most with X, they're going to get a lot out of it, right? So no doubt that makes sense. The person who can't meditate should meditate. I'm kind of that guy in that I like to think of myself as, trying to zen out a little bit, but meditation is freaking hard. But I've been doing a lot of like concentrating on my feet. Like right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm just thinking about my feet against the ground. I don't know if that has power for others, but it has huge power for me. Like just being present. Like here's something I wrote on my Facebook wall last year. I sent that out in an email not long ago. But it was like, if you want, holidays are here. And what does everybody say at holidays? Or at least I do. And I'd imagine a lot of others do. The Road Dog, I know you have. And it's like, you want to slow down time, right? Because it's like Christmas just comes and goes. The holidays just come and go. The new year just comes and goes. And next thing you know, it's January 3rd and we're back to work, right? So if you could slow that down, that would be a gift, right? Well, how do you slow it down? You be present. And then, by the way, I followed that up with the ultimate present you could give those who love you, your family, and those who love you and your friends is to be present, right? Not in the past, not in the future, not thinking about work, not thinking about this, not thinking about that, but present in the moment, feet against the ground. That's the greatest gift you could give them. So then I said, be present. And then I think I did a ho, 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 right? But anyway, so for me, And I don't, again, this may or may not provide value for our business coaches who hopefully know this kind of stuff. But like, I don't know, I've just been kind of trying to zen out a little bit. And I have found that I'm getting a little better at it. Like I was sitting in, I had this issue with my eyes, and I'm sitting at the optometrist. And I just like close my eyes and zen out because I know I'm going to be there for like 10 minutes. It might be 20 and it might be 6, but I just like close my eyes and just concentrate on my breathing and concentrate on my feet against the ground. And like let's just say I get 3 minutes. But you know what? At that 3 minutes, think of the compounding thing we talked about earlier. God dang, does it? I don't know. It really, I kind of love it. So I kind of zen out. Then when I'm zenning out, it's like here's a quote that I came up with, which again, hopefully I'll nail it because this will be sent in an email or put on somewhere. But real intelligence is having and living the way that you want, right? Think about that. Like we think about intelligence, and the truth is that, like making money, if you look at the biggest companies in the world, they are built by very smart people. Think Gates, think Bezos, think Zuckerberg, etc. Nobody's denying. You love them, you hate them, irrelevant. These people are insanely intelligent. But it's like intelligence, like what's the point of intelligence? And I think that how many people have like built a big company or a big thing or, got the car, got the this, got the that, and then all of a sudden they get it and it's like it's a disaster, right? You know what I mean? It's just not what they wanted. So, and by the way, not wanting something is as good or better than having it. Again, I think there's insane power in that. So just, real intelligence. So it's one thing to be like, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to get your goal, but like having that goal be a home run and exactly what you want and exactly, because the big thing is not how do I do it? What do I do? How, what, or who, which are intelligent questions, generally speaking. But before you ask that, I think a really high level, let's just call it, a Jeff Bezos, he's asking why, right? Like answer the question why before you go, who am I going to put on it? How are we going to do it, et cetera? Because often, you end up building this company that is a bit of a pain in the you know what. You know what I mean? That's not such a good thing. Your clients do that with 100% certainty. So, anyways, kind of zen it out. And by the way, Michael Jordan, Tim Grover, is it right? Michael Jordan's personal coach. He says so in a documentary. He was asked, "What is Michael Jordan's greatest gift?" And his answer like blew me away. And basically, his answer was his presence. Michael Jordan had a gift of always being in the moment. And I was just like, wow. I just found that to be really, really cool. So again, when I'm sitting at the optometrist in a dental or not, sorry, a doctor's office type of thing in that setting, and again, I got 6 minutes, I got 16 minutes, I got whatever, and I kind of zen out. For me, that's just being a little bit more present and working towards that. And I found that to be insanely cool. And that being said, maybe something business wise. Look, you can tell here's something. You can tell the success or the future success of a company. Let's say that they have a hard good. Then my question is, show me how fast they ship the goods. And then if it is a soft good, show me how fast they update their software, their soft good, right? Their thing. So show me how quickly they ship. Show me how quickly they ship. And then in a soft situation like software or something, an intangible, show me how fast they update positively, by the way, like a positive update and they, boom. And that I think will be a huge towards success. That like again, you're going to run a local live event. It's like how quickly does the business coach put wheels in motion and make that event happen? I think this would be a good example for somebody listening. Do you know what I mean? Like how quickly do they come up with the idea? Do they make the phone calls? They send out the emails. They get the ads going. Do they get this going? And all of a sudden have 10 people there on Tuesday morning to do the event. You know what I mean? And the quicker that they do that, I'm going to say the more probability that they will have towards success. And maybe, you know what, Shoots, okay, I'm going to throw it back to you here. The last thing that I would say, this is something I've actually written in my, like, I have like a note section of my phone, like where I just capture just, thoughts a little bit, like I was just talking, you know what I mean? Like all these little thoughts. Actually, hang on, two. Before I go there, you and I have a mutual buddy. His health is not fantastic, and again, it's like Gov's like just a beautiful freaking human being who I just love. And Road Dog, I know you love him too. The number one thing that you can do as an investment, both financial and otherwise, but even just think financial, probably want to be rich, right? Wealthy, long term, like you want to be rich, but again, you want to be, it's one thing to be rich today. It's another thing to be rich when you are 70 or like 20 years from today. Two very different dynamics. You don't be rich for a day. You want to be rich for a lifetime, right? So the number one investment that you can do today to become wealthy, become rich, and then to become ultimately wealthy, which I think would be the goal if you're listening to us, is your health. Look after your health. Again, like Charlie Munger, I said he lived to be 99. If he lived to be 60, we're not talking about Charlie Munger, right? Just time. So anyway, so that's the number one investment you could make. And then Shoots, this is what I wrote in my note, something to the effect of, I can accomplish anything I want, provided I'm willing to pay the price for it. Like I can accomplish anything as long as I'm willing to pay the price and sacrifice what I got to sacrifice to get it. And by the way, so very importantly though, I got to make sure, like it is, for me, Road Dog, people who may or may not, might appear to be super, wealthy to do, but what if they became wealthy and then what they got is what they didn't want? That wouldn't be good. So you got to make sure that you can accomplish anything you want. But before Charlie Munger would say, before you go and start marching in one direction at 100 miles an hour with purpose and, with purpose, in a straight line, make sure that when you get there, that's what you actually have wanted. So before you take that first step, maybe just stop, think, do a little bit of a matrix around, okay, what are the second, third, fourth order consequences, et cetera, and just make sure that that's where you should end up. So anyways, that's what I got. Shoots, what do you think?
Okay, so a couple things. First off, tell me you're over 50 without telling me you're over 50. You still call it a Facebook wall. Like I can't honestly remember for anyone to say that. So that's pretty sweet. Can I share with you what I think the biggest takeaway that I've seen from you? Well, two things that I've seen from you over the past 12 months.
Yeah, man.
Like
please.
What I think are your two biggest changes. Number one, your presence for sure. Like you are far more chill, I guess, than you were a year ago. So there's that. The second thing, and this is I don't know, because you were always like so obsessed with software and just like all these things need to be perfect. I got to get all these perfect tools and all these perfect things to all these clients, and that was always your thing. And the biggest shift that I've seen this year is that it's like you took a breath and you took a step back and you're like, nope, the software's good and it's going to continue to improve, and you put the right people in the right places so you could focus where you are the best, and that is helping your clients get clients. Like that was, I don't know what the shift happened, but it was sort of like, okay, I got the right team in place. I can now take a step back and help my clients where I can serve them best. And like the local legend stuff that you're doing, it's amazing to see, buddy. Like I just got to tell you, it's pretty darn cool. So those are my two for you.
Actually, I want to tell you funny from literally this morning, right? So we have local legends, and I'm literally on I'm there right on the calls, and I had an appointment, and I had to go do something to do. I sped home to make sure, like basically it started at 10 o'clock. I sped home to make sure that I was there, and I came scooting in at 9:58, like 2 minutes prior to starting, but I didn't want that thing starting without me there. So thank you for that, Shoots. I appreciate it. I would agree with that. And I love it. I'm super, again, the fact that you see the more Zen-like KB is super cool. Because so the goal, man, that's the goal. What the hell? What are we doing? What are we doing all this for if you're not,
Well, and that's always the big one, right? It's funny. I was actually just reading this morning. You're talking about goals. Let me just pull it up here real quick before we get into this. Probably going to go a little long today, folks. Apologize, but you'll get over it. When it comes to setting goals, the reason most fail to achieve them is because they're missing the other half of the equation. They're focused on getting to the goal, not keeping it, or what happens after they achieve the goal.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was quite good, right? It's that whole, you get there and you're like, oh crap, now what do I do? And it's like, you should have thought that through before, just like you were saying, right? It's just that build the business that you want, and you're going to have a lot more joy and less procrastination in doing so. And again, the more you focus on the client and getting them fast results, and that's a Hermosi thing too, right? It's just how fast people are willing to pay for speed. So how quickly can you get them a result? It's sort of like if you're going for a weight loss thing, how fast can you get them to lose their first couple pounds, right? It's always that sort of thing. But anyways, not to spend too much time on that. As I just pumped your tires on you caring and being so good at getting back to doing what you're best at, your X factor, if you will. One of the other things that you're always good at, besides the gift of gab, is building partnerships or JVs. And I know that when I look back at all the questions that I typically get over the course of a year, man, oh man, that is for sure one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get is just hearing your take on forming a JV. And maybe if you could just spend just a couple of minutes, like if you're looking, because again, we know that an accountant could set you up, right? Like if you have a proper partnership and a joint venture partnership with an accountant, holy smokes, like you're set for success. Can you maybe just spend a couple minutes and because again, holiday season, time to schmooze, whatever we need to do, how do you set up a JV with an accountant or someone like that?
Yeah, got it. And by the way, I love to see, folks, what he just said is don't go on forever. I got another question I want to ask you, just so you know, folks. That's what just happened. Okay, I'm going to answer this really quick. Okay, so an accountant, ironically, I answered literally this morning in Local Legends in that call I just mentioned. So here's what it is. I go to an accountant, and then you want to form a joint venture, but what I got to see this as a sale, right? This is a sales call, and you got to see it that way, as in you got to sell the accountant on, the promoting of you. But the best way to do that is to solve their biggest problem. Like the thing that I would ask is, what's the biggest problem that the accountant has, the biggest problem the accountant has, and can I solve it? And if I can solve it, surely he or she are going to be willing to, help me out, right? The rule of reciprocity. And let me tell you that the problem the accountant has is that it's a little thing called tax season. What is tax season? People come to see the accountant, as in the chiropractor, once a year, 3 months after the year is over, creates this little thing called tax season. And the accountant is so bloody busy for a short period of time that it's just nuts. And the chiropractor wants, red carpet type service, and they want everything immediately. And by the way, they don't want to pay any tax. Like they want, the best. You know what I mean? They want them to make all this creative accounting happen. And it's like it's just not possible for the accountant because literally there's 24 hours in a day. So if you agree and ask an accountant, maybe I'm horrifically wrong. I don't know. Ask them, and they will agree with me that like, oh yeah, that's solve that for me, and I'll do anything. Well, how do you do that? Okay, well, Mr. Accountant, send me 3 people. Don't send me everybody. Don't send me 30. Don't send me all 300 of your clients. Send me 3. Don't send me your best. Don't send me your worst. I will work with them. And what I will do is the 3 that you send me, and by the way, hold my feet to the fire and find out, like, let's see if I do this. But I will bring them in about a minimum 4 times a year, potentially 10 times a year, 12 times a year. And we will make sure that they have got financial statements, because I know if I go to a football game and I can't see the scoreboard, that would be a pretty boring game to watch. And I wouldn't know the winners from the losers, is what Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger say, right? If you can't see who's winning and losing, You can't see the scoreboard. You don't know who's winning and losing. Well, financial statements are the scoreboard. So get the accountant. And by the way, now the accountant's doing bookkeeping and keeping everything tight for the small business owner, right, in house. But what's going to happen is and by the way, so when your chiropractor goes to see the accountant, 4 times a year and gets quarterly financial statements at tax season, he doesn't participate because the numbers are already in. He's already done. It's just a matter of sending, keeping them compliant. Like it's just send, like it's just press the button because the number's already in. It's already done. So, so that solves the problem for the accountant, and he's going to love it. And by the way, you do it for 3, and then what do you think he's going to do? She's going to want to send you a bunch of other clients. So that's how I do it. And then I would go to somebody who is selling advertising, and I would solve their problem. What happens? People buy the ad, then they cancel. They can never get them back. So they got to constantly pay this perpetual lead gen game. Well, send me 3 clients and I will make sure that they never stop their ads, and you tell me how much they're spending and I will look to double their ad budget for the next 12 months with you. By the way, but I'm also going to, hold your feet to the fire and their feet to the fire to get results for the advertising. So anyway, so that is how I do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm Santa Claus. I'm not the Grinch. I'm not going in and trying to convince the accountant of something. I'm trying to solve their biggest problem and then create reciprocity where the accountant's like, wow, like other people aren't approaching it this way. So I could go on there, but we've covered this in lots of other podcasts. You can search that if it's of interest. And so that's what I'd say, Shoots. What do you think? You like it?
What do I think? I think it's almost the holidays. Speaking of the Grinch, where's your Grinch blow up? Is that going to make an appearance this year? Did you take it with you? Like, do you need me to ship it down? What's happening, buddy? Your Grinch blow up is
Caribbean Christmas.
So for those that don't know, the best was Karl. The only thing he had up one year was literally just this massive Grinch blow up on top of the hill, looking down, and it's just like it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. My God. Anyways, and you're getting WHL players to help string your Christmas lights. Like, I'm sure their coach would have a freaking heart attack if they knew that, like, some of these guys are out there. My God, dude, so good. All right.
There you go.
Moving along. I got 2, maybe 3 questions. We'll get these done pretty quick here. But I wanted to ask you, obviously, AI, holy smokes, right? Like, everybody's talking about it, everybody's selling on it, and whatever. You got tech, AI, obviously taking over the world. So let me ask you this, though, because you and I, we love small local live events, right? Yep. You've now got local legends. So obviously you still believe that it works. Why do you think, when you've got so much tech and you could do so much online via Zoom, via sell by chat, via all that stuff, like, you obviously still believe small live events are great for getting business coaching clients? Why do you still believe that, Karl? And do you think it's better than the other stuff?
Yeah. Look, I tell you, loneliness is an epidemic. Just again, COVID is gone but not forgotten. And it's subconsciously, I think it's playing out a little bit. And I think people love people demonstrating through results. They like the idea of getting out and mingling with some people. Again, loneliness is an epidemic. That ain't going away anytime soon. And AI, all this tech, which, you mentioned, and obviously we all know, it just gets people further and further away from one another. Like, again, Mike, like you go to the local mall, go to the food fair. You call it a food fair, food court, whatever you call it. And like, look at all the teenagers, and I don't need to be there to know that they're all staring at their phones. It's like, I remember being in a room and there was 50 people. And somebody said, the status thing about this is that you can be in this room and there's 50 people here and still feel alone. I was like, oh my gosh, that's just so powerful, right? And that was, years and years and years and years ago, literally decades ago. And today I can only imagine these kids They could be in a room of 50, 100 people and still feel alone. So the answer is absolutely. And I think AI and this tech just makes people feel more and more disconnected from one another. And yeah, like in my household, like my daughter and I, so we started this thing, and my wife plays a lot of the time, but we do like sequence. She's 10 years old, and we do sequence. We play sequence every single night, right? And it's just like, what a great, you know what I mean? It's been wonderful. And oh my God, we have so much fun. It's so cool. But that I don't know that it comes from directly from that, but it kind of does. It's just like some bonding time. But there is no TV, there is no tech, there is no phone. Well, she doesn't have a phone, but you know what I mean? Like there's no, and she's not, the last thing she's thinking about is her iPad when we're doing it. So yeah, no, I absolutely believe that, and I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. That's my answer.
Love it. Love it. And this is it, right? This is where I think small group coaching, you get a small group together. Just that, connectivity, people realizing they're not alone in this. I almost think it's a great retention tool. Like when you have a small group and you build that community, people don't want to leave the community.
Yeah.
So, that's so huge. And you guys do that, like you see great organizations and great trainers and coaches do that. They're all about building that community, and that's so important. But that said, so here we are, right? Who knows where the heck the world is going next year? Are we heading for a world war? Hard to say. What do we got? We got an election year, don't we, in the States? Like, there's a lot coming up, dude. Like, it's going to be wild. I'm sure of it. But what do you see? Like, what are the biggest challenges that you see coming the year ahead? And let's not go like on a big macro level. Let's keep it down just in a more of a micro business owner perspective.
So AI would play into that answer. The robots are already here, by the way, right? I'm talking about the robots coming in. Let me tell you, when you use Google, that algorithm, like the robots are already here. Just a little FYI. And by the way, Charlie Munger, one of his last, he thinks that AI is grossly exaggerated. Not in terms of, I don't think that he would say that, or that he did say that by way of its capabilities, but just the effect that it's going to have. Because again, I think I think AI, and then I think the robots are coming, and that's a dramatic way of saying it. But you know what I mean? He's kind of, I think again, what he was saying is the robots are already here, which is what I just said, and I believe that. And you could imagine them diving into, like we've integrated AI into the software to do. It's very real, and the last 12 months of my life have been, AI this, AI that, integrate this, that, the other. So what are the challenges I see? Which is the question. What I answer is that I think with AI, Chat GPT, all these these newsletter bros, I call them. Everybody's got this new. It's like you can just tell by reading it. It's like, oh my gosh, right? Like that's one thing with my email. I still write the thing to a fault. I'm an idiot, I'm sure, but like I write the joke, I do the I write the whole thing, soup to nuts. So, you know what I mean? And it's got a bit of personality, and it's got a joke, and it's, you know what I mean? I could get Chat GPT to write 100 jokes for me. You know what I mean? But just, it's fun, by the way. Your greatest moat is you. Keep that in mind. So I wouldn't want to outsource that. So the biggest challenges I see is okay. Last year you asked me the same question. I would say just managing overwhelm and too much stuff coming at you, and just managing it, and then understanding again that there's 10 things, which two? There's 10 things, which two? 10 things, which two? I think that instead of 10, they're getting 25. I mean, it's still like, I think instead of 80-20, they still got to pick their two of the 25. Because again, everybody's got a magical new book. Everybody's got a magical new report. Everybody's got a magical new webinar. You're getting phone call, like doing cold calls with AI. Okay. I'm just going to put that in the stupid pile right now. Like you can tell that it is a computer, right? I don't think anybody's got the technology yet that I could hear it. I could hear like the answers and whatnot. And anyways, I'm just going to put that out there. right, wrong, indifferent. But like, you know what I mean? Like trying to do like blatant cold calls with AI without a human. Um, it's one thing doing a service call where you're answering problems. When you're calling and trying to get somebody on the phone and convincing them of something, that's just not working. But it doesn't mean they're not going to try, and it doesn't mean that your phone's not ringing, 20 times a day. So I'm just going to say that overwhelm was a problem last year, and overwhelm is a significantly bigger problem this year. Shoots. That's my answer. It's a big challenge I see.
Okay, so now that you've said overwhelm, and out of 10, pick 2. So this should be exciting. Hey, what are you working on right now? Because I'm sure that list is probably, short, which I doubt. But why don't you talk about that just for a second in terms of maybe I'd actually love to break that down of what are you working on within the business, and then what are you working on more on a personal level, because I like that presence piece. I really appreciate that, and I really hope it has that same impact on everybody else listening as it does on me. But so kind of in those two different areas, if you could just dive into them.
Sorry, Road Dog, I missed that. Which piece had an impact?
The just being present in the moment, right?
Oh.
That sort of.
Yeah.
So if you can just maybe go, hey, like what are you working on in terms of what's coming up, business wise or just in general? And then I'd love to know sort of what, if presence was your big thing for the past year, what else are you working on personally?
Well, zen and out is a word. I am a work in progress. That's for sure. I don't have it worked out, but I'm doing my best every day, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, and we'll get there. But software, business wise, just streamlining everything. We created a new, completely new framework for onboarding that is significantly faster, I believe, significantly better. Pretty excited about that. I can tell you, integrating AI into the software. We you know what I mean. We've been doing that for the last couple of years, but that is, you could imagine, sort of hitting the steroids. Mental. So if I told you what I was working on literally today and not there, but like, because we built profit acceleration software, built digital acceleration software. It was always mental acceleration software was always coming. It was always a plan and something. I think yeah, just awesome. Charlie Munger would have his hands all over it in terms of influence. But mental acceleration software has me, just like my heavens. And that, you know what I mean? That's so that is something but will that be dropped this year? Don't know. I'm going to say probably not, but something that we're working on, and just jacking up what we got, like internal processes, and just keeping everything tight. You talked about speed, Hormozy's talking about it again, like just how fast can you do something? I said it earlier. If you want to know if a company's going to be successful, just look at how fast they, if it's hard good, they ship it out. And then if it's soft good, how quickly they update everything. That'll tell you how successful they're going to be. So, jacking up our speed. And you mentioned, actually, you alluded to it earlier, but like going all in with like our clients and just making sure like our local live events, working unbelievably internally. So yeah, that's I don't know if that's the best answer, but that's what we're working on, and lots of fun stuff coming. Got a big year ahead. That's my answer, Sheets. But if you were to ask my personal goal, and if you spoke to me in 12 months, which you will, and then you ask me something like that, I am hoping that you were able to say that I am more Zen-like this year, and but again, not to the fault of, okay, I just like, my goal isn't to like do nothing and retire and like just hang out and, e-foil and, ski, you know what I mean? Like surf all day. That's not my goal. But my goal is absolutely to keep my feet on the ground, concentrate on them, the presence, slowing things down, so that when I do, what I mean? When I am working, I'm working at a significantly higher level, because I'm never going to be the guy that's not going to work, 6 to 10 hours a day. I'm just not going to ever become that person. I don't think. So anyway, so that's my answer, Shoots. That's over the next 12 months. I hope you can say that you see me more Zen-like, Shoots. That's my goal.
For me, it's shadow work. Have you ever heard of shadow work?
No, tell us.
So it's doing the inner work, and it's we actually had a guy on. So I'm part of a men's group. We meet every week. There's 9 of us. We've been doing it for 4+ years. You know all about that, Karl. We had a guy on. He actually worked with Tony Robbins for over 10 years, and he gave us an introduction to shadow work. And holy smokes, it's pretty cool when you can have a situation, a trigger happen, and then you can play it back to the first time it sort of happened, and you realize that a lot of the ways that you behave and show up in the world are based on protective patterns that have helped you in the past, but may not necessarily help you going forward. So pretty cool stuff. So for me, it's just to be.
Hey, can I ask a question? Do you know?
Yep.
Do you know the movie that's Jonah Hill?
Oh, it's that documentary one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fitz or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No.
He talks about something.
Yeah, probably. There's definitely like it incorporates some NLP and some other stuff like that in there as well. But yeah, it's just for me, it's to be less of a victim to the events and to the circumstances that happen to me, and really learn from all of them and identify why they trigger me. That would be my 12-month target, which I think would be pretty exciting to get to a level of self-awareness where you can do that too, because that would be my way of reaching Zen, hopefully. But that and breath work, I think, I'm not sure. I think breath work is going to be the next yoga at some point, or cold plunge, right? So very cool. Hey, but as we wrap up,
by the way,
I know we
this guy for a sec, acknowledge the vulnerability there, my friend. Everybody loves you, man, and that's part of why we love you. Very, very cool, dude. Very, very cool.
Was that did you just have like Skype open up? Is it 1998? What just happened there? I'm not sure if that was your Skype window just sort of making a bubble sound in the background. Anyways, you know what? The other big thing that I'm really hoping for in 2024, Karl, is less microphone issues. I know it's a huge request. I don't know if we can pull it off, but maybe this is the year. Keeping my fingers crossed. But on that note, can you close us out? One last thing, if everything because we covered a lot today, and great to be back, by the way. But give us one thing that somebody can take from everything you just said and implement it into their business, into their daily practice today.
I'm going to go get a Charlie Munger. We're going to give the OG props here. Start with him and finish with him. What is it? The world is not driven by greed. The world is driven by envy. Understanding that, but then going, okay, so like how can I use that to my ethical advantage? Is again, make people jealous of who you are and what you are, not what you have, right? And it's just like I think that really, really, that's why doing a local live event every week, come hell or high water, guys. That's why it's called Local Legends, because guess what they do? They literally become a local legend. And that's it, because again, it's just this gal just keeps showing up. Some weeks there's 2 people, some weeks there's 12 people, some weeks there's whatever. But the one thing that is never in doubt is that individual showing up with breakfast, educating local business owners, and really, really putting on a great show. That's a really good example. So the OG, may he rest in peace, Charlie Munger, 99. A good innings. That's an Australian thing, by the way, but a good run. And he helped, impacted so many people. And I just think the guy's an absolute, just a business, like a stud upon stud. But remember, he lived to be 99. So the other thing, the best investment you could make today, financially or otherwise, is in your own health. So there you go. That's what I'm going to say, Shoots. That's my answer.
And my last thing, It's separation season, according to my buddy Dan Martell. This is separation season. So don't slow down because it's the holidays. I've got 4 events happening in the next 2 weeks, and I am going nonstop until the end of the year. We're heading into possibly a pretty rough year next year economically, and I'm going to position myself as being the resource that people can count on for help and support through that time. So do not slow down. Do not fall into the excuse trap that it's the holiday season, and give yourself permission to stop doing the work. So there you go. And on that note, what's that?
I love that separation season. That's what I always said. When COVID started, it's halftime. It's halftime of the Super Bowl, right? And some are going to show up, and some aren't, and make adjustments, etc. So I like that holiday season. It is time to press the gas versus the brake. Very cool.
And real quick, one challenge I'd love to give to you, Karl, and this is something that I picked up from Dan when I was chatting with him last week. Because whenever you see Dan now, it's funny, he is mic'd up and he's got his videographers around him pretty much nonstop. And I'm like, man, he's like, just go with it. Like, it's weird. It is what it is. But just roll with it, because as he says, and much like you, look at the nuggets that you drop on this podcast, and that is a small percentage of all the nuggets you drop throughout the day. Imagine if rather than recording 10% of your day and dropping those bombs and those nuggets, you actually had 50%. How much more value will you add to the business coaching community and to the world? So that'll be my challenge to you, is how can we get KB to be more present in the community of business coaches in next year?
Ooh, the gauntlet, ladies and gentlemen. The gauntlet.
There it is, buddy.
Like it, Shoots. I love you, man. I miss you, bud. I miss doing this little.
Brother.
We're back.
Well, hopefully we won't see you too soon. Hopefully, Beebs is going to be okay. But if not, I'll see you soon. Again, folks, it's been great. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man, the king of the Caribbean, King Karl. And if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or you just want more information how to build your coaching company, visit focus.com and subscribe today. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone you think might make a great coach, someone that's possibly great at sales, or just a highly motivated individual. And of course, as always, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate this episode. As you know, that iTunes, Spotify, and the like all put a huge amount of weight towards the reviews. So please leave us a review. And that is it for another week. And you probably haven't heard it in a few weeks. Remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, buddy. We'll see you next episode.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.